UFC Perth is coming up in a couple weeks, and today, guys, I have the complete betting guide for you with timestamps if you'd like to skip to any part of the video. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another video. If you are new here, my name is Kyle. I am your guy with many YouTube channels. So, we are going to be going through the channel betting recap, confident picks, underdog opportunities, fights that I believe you should not be betting on. Unfortunately, we are skipping lock of the week this week because I hate this card for betting. I think it is a complete minefield, and then we're going to close things off with seeing if there are any props available right now and making some fun, maybe dumb parlays, okay? Timestamps will be there, like I said, if you'd like to skip to any part of the video. Let's get started with the channel betting recap, guys. And for the channel betting recap, we had 2 official plays and 1 fun parlay. If you were here, new to the channel, the fun parlay is something that I just throw $5 on. While I do expect it to hit, this is a crazy sport in MMA, so just playing for entertainment value. We had 2 official plays, that being both single 1-unit bets for Zachary Reese to win and for Diego Lopez versus Gene Silva to go over 1.5 rounds. Unfortunately, with the Zachary Reese fight, we ended up just getting our money back for that because it was a no contest. But hey, that was a lock. That was going to hit. But for our 1 official play that we were reduced to, Diego Lopez versus Gene Silva over 1.5 rounds did hit. And boy, I was sweating. I was sweating through that fight. And I was like, there's no way Diego Lopez is finishing Gene Silva in under 1.5 rounds in the first round. Because the reason that I did this is because you have 2 insanely tough guys. And luckily, Gene Silva was tough enough where that call ended up being correct. It's just, I thought this was like a go the distance type fight, but I like my 1.5s. I'm pretty safe with my 1.5s. I even sweat doing 2.5s. Okay, so that bet did hit, and the fun parlay ended up getting shaken up there. Man, you know what? It sucks because I wanted to bet on Alexander Hernandez, but I was thinking Diego Ferreira is a very good fighter. He's a very good fighter, but I didn't end up pulling the trigger, so I threw him in the fun parlay. Jared Gordon was very surprising to me, but I'm hearing things about him getting hit in a car crash before, but I don't know the situation. And Rob Font, I was surprised that Rob Font got beat, although I do think it was a very close fight, but hey, that's why we don't single him out, right? We throw it in an entertainment parlay, and if it hits, it hits, okay? So for the official play that we had, we did hit Gene Silva versus Diego Lopez over 1.5 rounds. And guys, if you would like to see what I'm doing with my money each week, if you either like to support the channel or combine your own research with my own fight knowledge, then you can check out the channel membership in the pinned comment description down below or right next to the subscribe button. It is very cheap compared to other channels every single Friday or Saturday night when there's UFC, because I don't know if I'm going to be betting on this week because we like to dive into other organizations as well, but that one's iffy. If there's a UFC card every Friday or Saturday before the event actually begins, I'll be posting a community members post like this and a members only video explaining in depth why I chose each bet that I was going to make. Again, if you either like to support the channel or combine my fight knowledge with your own research, then you can check out the channel membership. Thank you so much for listening, guys. Let's get into the video today with the confident picks. Now, you have to be careful with this card, okay? While I do feel confident about some of these picks over here, I think this entire card's a minefield, and I'm talking I am going to be playing point units. I'm not going to be playing very much on this card, okay? Because I see this being a complete minefield. I don't even know what one fighter I would even like to bet on. I think that I would have to go for props this time around, but I guess we'll find out, okay? First confident pick is going to be Alexa Thayanara. I was impressed with what she did coming to the UFC. We had a lot of questions about her coming in, and she answered them so far. She's a fighter who likes to push a pace. She's going to put on a grappling pace, and I would imagine that she's going to get the better of a very overrated Loma Lookboonmee, in my opinion, because even when I know Loma's been getting by and I know Loma's been winning, but nothing about her impresses me. At least Alexa Thayanara, I'm like, okay, this girl can kind of come in. She might be able to ragdoll and try to beat up Loma Lookboonmee. So I do like Alexa Thayanara in this matchup, but even then, I don't like it to bet. Let's continue on to another confident pick of mine. It's going to be Andre Petroski. Guys, Cam Roston is coming into the UFC. He's one of those city kickboxing guys. He looks really good on the feet, but Andre is really going to test his grappling game. And I know that Andre is coming off of a loss over here, and to be honest with you, that was a little bit disappointing. And if Cam Roston shows up and he can stuff Andre Petroski's takedowns, I would imagine that he'll be able to get the better of him. But this is a little bit of a jump up in a wrestler, and Andre Petroski has been putting in, and he's been very vocal about this, putting in the amount of work to have the right game plan, to fight safe. And in all of his fights, since he started saying, okay, guys, I'm not going to come in looking for a knockout, I'm not going to come in and swing, he's been performing very well, aside from his last fight where he couldn't find the takedown. So I still do for this matchup specifically, I like Andre Petroski in this matchup, but again, still not one that I would really like to bet on in my opinion, but I do think that Andre Petroski is going to win the fight, okay? Let's continue on over to Obon Elliott is the next confident pick. Guys, I know that Obon Elliott shocked the world and ended up losing after everybody was betting on him last time around, But I still do like this matchup. Like Jonathan McAuliffe, he is still relatively unproven. He's getting thrown into the UFC against a guy who's had pretty good experience against pretty good fighters. He's been battle tested, and he's been getting the better of the majority of the performances that he's been having. So I like the experience to kind of take over on the side of Obon Elliott over here. And Obon Elliott does seem like a very motivated guy. So I like the improvements, and I would imagine that he's going to bounce back with a win over here. Plus, not even in his prime, okay? I like Obon Elliott in that matchup. Let's continue on over to the next confident pick. I would say that this is the most confident pick on the card for me, but I still don't like it to bet. Like, guys, if you've been following the channel for a little bit, you might know that I like bet as safe as I possibly can. I'm not usually one to take stabs at underdogs and things like that. It's going to be Jimmy Crute, okay? I see a clear path to victory for Jimmy Crute, and I've always thought that Jimmy Crute was an underrated fighter, okay? I could see him exposing, not exposing, okay, because it's not like Ivan Erslan is useless or anything like that, but I think he's going to have a clear wrestling advantage in this fight. I could see him pushing a base, coming in, getting the takedowns, using that pressure, making Ivan a little tired, and then Jimmy Crute will kind of coast his way over to decision. So for this matchup, I do like Jimmy Crute. He's probably my most confident pick on the card, but there's a reason why I'm skipping Lock of the Week this week. There's nobody, literally nobody on this card that I feel safe enough to say, guys, this is a solid bet. I think this entire card's a minefield, okay? But let's continue on to a couple underdog opportunities. These are underdogs on the card that I'm not going to be betting on. These are just underdogs that I believe have very good value if you're looking to take a stab at an underdog, looking to get some good money. The first one is going to be Louis Sutherland. Guys, there's a reason why people have been saying always faded Taffa, bro. Justin Taffa has been incredibly inconsistent. He does have that power, and that's why, like, I would totally understand if somebody was picking him, because Louis Sutherland is coming into the UFC. Justin Taffa has knocked out a couple guys, right? But the Taffa bros aren't really that good. They have a big hole in the grappling game, and Louis Sutherland is a guy who's an actual in-shape heavyweight, which is crazy to see. He's going to walk forward, assuming that he doesn't get clocked by Justin Taffa, like with an uppercut or something like that, or a hook to the side of the temple. He's probably going to bulldoze Justin Taffa to the ground, and he's going to be landing some ruthless ground and pound. To be honest with you, I am surprised that Louis Sutherland is an underdog here, but you do have to be careful in that heavyweight division, okay? Louis Sutherland is absolutely an underdog opportunity. Let's continue on to the next underdog opportunity. It's going to be Adolfo Bellato, guys. I know that Navajo Sterling has looked good. He's had some good performances. He proved that he belongs in the UFC so far. I want to know if you guys agree with this one, okay? I see a world where Navajo Sterling starts unloading on Adolfo Bellato on the feet. This dude, Bellato, he's insanely durable. He's insanely tough. He has all the heart in the world. I could see him eating shot after shot after shot on the feet just for him to like bulldoze his way through, get a takedown, and start landing his own ground and pound on Sterling. And maybe as the fight continues to get more chaotic, as they get into a fight, like maybe it stays on the feet. I'm not even saying that he gets a takedown. Maybe it stays on the feet. Sterling's picking him apart. I could see Bellato making it chaotic enough for that to be something that Sterling hasn't really experienced before. And Bellato, we all know that this dude can just fight for days with his durability and his heart. I could see him getting the better of Navajo Sterling that way. But again, there's a reason that he's an underdog. He's fighting somebody who's clearly technically better than him. But I do think that he'll have the ground advantage, okay? I don't mind Adolfo Bellato at all in this matchup, guys. At all. We've seen him battle tested. Navajo Sterling, while again, he has looked good. He's proven himself to be in the UFC. I don't think he's faced somebody like Adolfo Bellato that's willing to like sit down and go to war like that. Now, guys, let's continue on over to some fights that I believe you should be avoiding on the card, which is, honestly, I think you should avoid most of the card, but there are a couple key fights in particular that I don't believe you should be betting on. And the first one is going to be Jamie Mullarkey versus Rolando Bedoya. Guys, it's two fighters that haven't really been able to put things together, and I think this is just a relatively unpredictable fight in general. Both guys have been lackluster. Both guys are, like, well-skilled, but they just haven't been able to get a win. I don't know what they're going to show up and look like over here, okay? So I don't think that you should be betting on this fight personally. Let's continue on over to Jake Matthews and Neil Magny. Guys, I would imagine that most people will be on Jake Matthews this time around, but let's talk about both guys for a second, okay? How many times throughout Jake Matthews' career has he won one or two fights? And the entirety of the MMA fan base was like, Jake Matthews is put together. Jake Matthews has been working really hard. Jake Matthews is on a win streak. Jake Matthews is going to be going on a roll for the title just for him to look like crap in his next fight. I hope that doesn't happen. He's on a really nice 3-fight win streak right now. I'm just saying there is pattern recognition that we need to figure out with Jake Matthews over here. I hope he does well. I hope the best for Jake Matthews in his career, and I would love to see nothing more than Jake Matthews go on a title push, okay? I don't trust it yet. I need to see a good couple more wins from Jake Matthews. Sometimes he just shows up and he's a little bit lackluster. But let's talk about Neil Magny. Neil Magny is coming off of a sensational performance against Elizeu Zaleski. He turned back the clock. I was like the majority of the MMA fan base in this and saying that Neil Magny's done. He's washed. But now I'm thinking, okay, was that the competition level that he was facing? Because he was facing some championship caliber fighters. And I know, like, he saying he's washed, he barely won that fight against Mike Belot. That was more Mike Belot just, gassing out and stuff. But that's besides the point, okay? Neil Magny showed up in his last fight. He fought very well. It was very back and forth. He was a lot faster. He looked like he was in better shape. Maybe he's not washed like we thought he was. Maybe it was a one-off performance. Who knows? I'm just saying it's a little unpredictable, in my opinion, how both of these guys are going to show up in this matchup. I think we should stay away from it. If anything, maybe a 1.5. Maybe, because both guys are relatively tough, and I could see a world where this is a slow-paced matchup, okay? I'd stay away from this one, because I could see Jake Matthews being a parlay piece, okay? Let's continue on to the next not confident pick, fight that I believe you should be avoiding. Junior Tafa, Ibo Aslan. First of all, you never know what you're getting with Junior Tafa. He has a ridiculous hold in his ground game, and he has good power, okay? That in itself is, oh boy. But it's more so because of Ibo Aslan. Like I was talking about Jake Matthews, and like I was talking about Neil Magny, I'm unsure of what version of Ibo Aslan's going to show up, because there has been, he's coming off of his performance against Billy Alcala, where it was a horrible fight. He was completely inactive, and he was almost like a shell of his former self, where historically Ibo Aslan would come in, he would bite on the mouthpiece, and he would go to war. There was all of this talk about him going over to training with Dagestan. First of all, I don't know what gym he's training at for this fight. I don't know if he's been in Dagestan. I don't know if he's training where he's usually training. I know that he definitely did go over there for his last fight, and he showed up, and he was just so inactive. He was so hesitant to throw. It was not the Ibo Aslan that we were, usually excited to see sit down and watch. If that Ibo Aslan shows up again, then Junior Tafa, somebody who actually has power, could clip an Ibo Aslan. He could be a little bit more aggressive in that fight. I need to see Ibo Aslan show up and show us that was a one-off performance for me to say, okay, Ibo Aslan's going to come in here and he's going to, sit down and go to war. I'd stay away from this one personally, guys. And let's continue on over to the final I don't know why I keep saying that. I'm sorry. Final fight that I believe you guys should not be betting on, and that's going to be Carlos Ulberg versus Dominic Reyes. More so on the side that we still have questions about Dominic Reyes. While the career resurgence has been phenomenal to see, you have to take into consideration the opponents that he's faced. He came in, he knocked out Dustin Jacoby, looked great. He still didn't really get hit too clean in that fight. He then got a free win over Anthony Smith, and then Nikita Krylov, somebody who is not necessarily going to offer a ton of resistance to anything that Dominic Reyes wants to do. I still personally worry that Dominic Reyes is chinny after we saw him, take all of the damage that he's taken. Carlos Ulberg will be that test. If he hits Dominic Reyes, he could go out still. I know everybody's saying, Dominic Reyes has been putting all of this work into it, and he has been. He's been, game planning. He's been fighting like a veteran. He's been fighting careful. But I still worry about his chin. I still worry about that. We've seen him visibly get rocked. We haven't really seen that opportunity in these 3 fights that he's recently had. For that reason, I'm going to stay away from this one. But even then, let's say he shows up and he's able to take those shots. I could see him getting the better of Carlos Ulberg throughout 5 rounds. It's just, it's a minefield, okay? I'm staying away from that one personally. But guys, like I said, unfortunately, we are skipping lock of the week this time around. I hate this card for betting. Really do. And I would love to know what if you guys feel the same way as me on this, because like I said, I'm going to be playing very, very little this card. But let's see if there's any props available, which we have, and this is the most previous card. Excuse me for one moment. Let me refresh that page over there. There we go. Sorry about that, guys. Hey, this is why we do call it the unstructured part of the video, okay? Now, September 27th is what we're looking at over here, okay? So I'm probably going to stick with props this time around, to be honest with you. Redondo Buldaya, Jamie Malarkey. I don't really hate that. I don't really like doing that either. Oban Elliott and John in the mid-clap is an interesting one for 2.5, but I'm a big 1.5 believer, guys. Over 2.5 for Rodolfo Bellato, Navajo Sterling is at minus 119. It's almost at a pick 'em. I could see this one going over because both guys are probably pretty tough, to be honest with you. Ramon Tavares, Jack Jenkins, that's not bad either. Carlos Ulberg and Dominic Reyes at plus money for over 2.5. I want to see what a 1.5 line looks at over here. What else we have over here? Over 2.5 for Jimmy Crute. I could see Jimmy Crute winning a decision. I don't really hate that one at all, to be honest with you. Louis Sutherland versus Justin Tafa over 1.5 at plus money. Hey, I don't mind the under on that one at all. Under 1.5 at plus 165. I'm not somebody who typically bets unders, but I think that has really, really, really good value there. There's some potential over there, okay? Other than that, Andre Petrosky and Cameron Rostin over 2.5 at minus 105. I don't mind that at all either. That's something that I would consider looking into, to be honest with you guys. That's probably the best prop in my opinion, because I could see, you know, Andre Petrosky has a has a habit of slowing things down. But let's continue on over to, like I said, the fun parlay part where it's like a little bit unstructured. Let's see if there's anything that we can make over here, okay? A lot of fights on this card. A lot of fights. Why is Evan Elder there? We're going to ignore that one, okay? So, if you're new to the channel over here, something my sister and I do every single week is we throw 10 cents on every single underdog on the card. One time we were almost millionaires in Bellator, okay? Let's see what 10 cents gets us for that. And at 21,000. It's not too bad. There's a lot of close fights over here, okay? And the guys, I usually talk about how I hate MMA parlays. I particularly hate MMA parlays on this particular card. I don't even know, man. Let's pick some fighters, okay? Andre Petrosky. We're going to pick Obon Elliott. We're going to pick Jimmy Crute. And there was one more that I'm missing over here. Wasn't there one more? Oh, what's her face? Where is she? Alexa Thainara. That's good value for a parlay, but with this card, something is bound to go wrong. And in general, MMA parlays, there's something's bound to go wrong. But if you want plus money for something, I would take like my most confident picks. I would say are Obon Elliott and Jimmy Crute. You'll get well over twice your money back for that. But even then, I do not like this card, guys. So that's going to be the parlay that we're sticking with, but it's not something I'm going to be betting on. I need to figure out what I'm going to be doing this card. But guys, if you want to talk about these fights as in-depth as we could possibly get, we already have a full card breakdown video up. I would love to have you over there. Thank you so much for watching the video, guys. Take care, everybody.